Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, it looks as though events have now backed Tinubu into a corner. He is now at a crossroad, and whichever direction he turns, he loses. So it's heads you lose and tails you lose for Tinubu. As guys, I bring you this. Amotekun, Tinubu reveals what Southwest governors should have done, blames Buhari's minister. So that's the headline. Amotekun, Tinubu reveals what Southwest governors should have done, blames Buhari's minister. So now let's now see what this aspiring president has to say for himself. The All Progressive Congress national leader, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, has blamed the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, for acting hastily in declaring the Operation Amotekun illegal. He also said governors of the Southwest were wrong not to have consulted Malami before creating the outfit. Recall that the governors of the Southwest set up Operation Amotekun majorly to curb the menace of herdsmen killings and destruction of farmlands in the region, but the federal government, through the office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, declared the security outfit illegal. According to Tinubu, the governors claim they consulted regularly with the police and security agencies. This was the right thing to do. However, their failure to include the office of the Attorney General in these discussions is the font of the current public uproar. This was an unfortunate omission the governors should regret and seek remedy. However, the conceptual merits and positive functional aspects of Amotekun should not be tainted by this procedural defect. While the Attorney General is a conscientious public servant, he is also human. Not having been consulted, he was suddenly faced with an unexpected public announcement regarding a matter within his official ambit. He likely feared the failure to consult him meant the federal prerogative were being encroached. To blame him for this conclusion would be to blame human nature itself. Though his negative reaction was understandable, it was also unhelpful. The Attorney General acted hastily in rendering a public statement that was more inaccurate than it should have been. Amotekun was never proposed as a defense agency. The Attorney General erred in using this description. The use of uniforms and brightly colored vehicles may not be the best idea, but they do not render Amotekun a defense agency or paramilitary group any more than a designated school van carrying uniformed students constitutes a paramilitary deployment. Believing the governors have crossed the line, the Attorney General should have reached out to them before going public. He should have sought a private meeting so that he could have a better factual understanding of Amotekun. This would have enabled him to give the governors any specific constitutional or other objectives he might have. In this way, the two sides would have engaged in private consultations to reach agreement on the way forward. This cooperative process might have helped to correct some of the organizational lapses above identified. Such a diplomatic and wise step also would have prevented the current public acrimony now surrounding the issue. So now this is now Tinubu now backed into a position, and like I said, the guy is at a crossroad on this particular issue, and whichever direction he turns, he loses. So if he backs Amotekun, the Northerners will say, aha, we've always said it, that this Tinubu is a dubious guy. Now you see him is with this tribe, and he has always been with this tribe. So if he becomes president, is he now going to be favoring his tribe? Never mind what is going on now that we're under Fulani occupation and it's wall-to-wall Fulani in the Buhari regime. But if he then backs the Northerner, this Afonja narrative that's been hung around his neck for a very long time will then get some sort of a solidification. It will be solidified. It will be an affirmation of the general belief that this guy is an Afonja, and he would do anything to sacrifice anyone to the Malamis. You will remember all his utterances during the Parfashionati thing, and anytime that anything happens, he will back the Malams because he's trying to keep them sweet up to 2023. But events, as I said, are speeding ahead of this guy's ambition, and by the time that 2023 comes around, his relevance within the Nigerian space will be clearly defined to the different nations within the Nigerian space, so that they can then make a decision on whether they are for him or against him. Now, they say Tinubu is the leader of the Yoruba people. They say, oh, the Yoruba leader, the Yoruba leader. Tinubu is not the Yoruba leader. Have absolutely no misconceptions about that. Tinubu, if you speak to any Yoruba man, Tinubu is not the Yoruba leader. In fact, there is really no real Yoruba leader. There are pockets of Yoruba influencers who have a collective, a gathering under their influence, and Tinubu is no different. Tinubu is no different from Showore or the Afenifere group or Wole Soyinka or any other body. Is a person of influence within the Yoruba space, but then because of course his influence is political and that cascades over the swathe of that particular sub-region, people then give him that appellation of being the Yoruba leader. But Tinubu, I'm telling you again now, and take it as gospel and take it to the bank, Tinubu is not the Yoruba leader. There's no Yoruba person that acknowledges Tinubu as his or her leader. There's been no ceremony, no election, no voting, no consensus to concede that position to this fella that is the Yoruba leader. So Tinubu, again, is not the Yoruba leader. So the Yorubas are not entirely for this guy. Of course, if Tinubu is gunning for the presidency, the Yoruba would grudgingly back him as a son of the soil, or Mawani Ejeoshe and all that kind of stuff. But really, it's not a Yoruba choice. But if it's the most viable to wrestle power to the region of the country, to the southwest, then of course they will go with him and say, you just go there. At least we don't like you, but at least you're a Yoruba person, so that then means that you're a civilized person. So at least if we know that a civilized person is there, we can rest easier. But really, Tinubu is not the Yoruba choice, and Tinubu knows this. So now the thing that Tinubu is banking on for this is presidency, or the things that is banking on for this is 2023 ambitions are thus: one, he's banking on his war chest, because that guy of course has accumulated stupendous money. A lot of people are saying Dangote is the richest man in Africa, and etc. And people like Tinubu and Abacha family and Babangida, they're just laughing wherever they are. That is he really? Are you sure about that? Okay, well, my bank manager will tell you differently, but I can't say anything because I cannot justify my wealth. So Tinubu controls stupendous wealth. So he's banking on that one. He's also banking on the political networks that he has built right across the country, because of course you would have to understand that Nigerian politics is not played by the will of the people, but really by the influence that you wield. And this guy wields influence that cascades right across all of the geo nations of Nigeria, because of course with that money, that war chest that he has accumulated in Lagos State, and his sagacity, he's able to go around all of the regions of the country and assert influence there. So he has all of his boys all across the southwest. Anyway, apart from Oyo State, I think he pretty much controls pretty much all of the southwestern states. And then in the northern states as well, he has acolytes and sympathizers that he has placed in several positions, governors, senators, etc. People that are backing him, people whose careers he has funded, who is sure would back him. So this is really where he's placing his strength in. But the real play within the Nigerian space is always that politics of ethnicity. So that politics of ethnicity now will now come into play whenever we have that build up towards 2023. And this Tinubu now, he doesn't really want that real coloration of being a Yoruba person. He is a Yoruba person, of course, but he doesn't want that Yoruba to be the lead in his narrative, or at least in his public comment, because anybody that is purporting or wanting to be the Nigerian president, of course, has to have a nationalistic outlook, and he wants then to position himself in that sort of understanding, in that sort of decimal, in that sort of zeitgeist, that look, I have a broader national outlook, a bit like Sowore. Actually, Sowore also, he doesn't run under his Yoruba banner, he runs as a Nigerian. He always positions himself as a Nigerian rather than as a Yoruba man. So now this is now the thing that Tinubu has been working very hard to create, and to the impression, the public profile that's been working very hard to build for himself, a national figure, a nationalistic figure, all unifying figure that doesn't really fall under the banner of one ethnicity. But then Amotekun. So this Amotekun situation now has now checkmated him, because there's been several instances. I've already mentioned the Fashionati, and I can mention several more. There's been several instances where the Yorubas have called out, and this guy has not answered that call. So this now call out now that the Yoruba are making has now all the backings of all of the governors of that region to say that, look, we cannot have Fulanis coming from Burkina Faso or wherever to come and rampage and savage our land. Therefore, we must defend ourselves, and this is how we're going to do it. So the Northerners are, of course, now rallying against that to say that we want to continue, and we insist on continuing on coming into your region to ravage and savage. So now, where now Tinubu places himself now is where he's trying to address now with this public statement that he has put out, that a blame to this side and a blame to that side. But then, of course, that doesn't really fool anyone, because there'll be still more pushback from the north, and the Yorubas will take their stand. And of course, we know the Igbos will always go with the Yorubas when it comes to this divide, because of course, anything that progresses their own Biafra narrative, they'll go with that. So now, damned if you do it, damned if you don't, is where Tinubu finds himself now. Which way does it turn, and what's the way out for this fella? Conversations in the comment section. The drum beats of 2023 is now an echoing distance in Tinubu's ears, because it's within his reach. You can see it. 2023 is only what? How many years? It's 3 years away now. We're in 2020 now, aren't we? So 2023 is only 3 years ago. So you can literally touch this thing that he has been chasing since 1999 and even further back. So you can literally touch it. But then, of course, like I said, events are speeding ahead of this guy's ambitions. So come tell me what your thoughts are about Tinubu 2023 and the Malamis, and indeed the Yorubas and the Igbos as well, the mix. Come tell me what your thoughts are about all this in the comment section. But before you do that, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me which way Nigeria, which way Tinubu, and which direction of travel you think this guy should and would and is best served following in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Carry on with you in the comment section, but here I say peace.